Gonna wait for some people to show up. That's much better. Let's see who shows up here. I think it's still Yom Kippur in New York. Let's see if anybody shows up. Oh, there's one person. Who that one person is, we don't know. Two. Got a page with 35,000 fans. Maybe Trump's lawsuit can fix this whole issue. You got 35,000 fans. Two people. It's amazing, right? It's amazing what they do. What Facebook does. It's incredible. Okay. Well, guys, I was going to make this video yesterday, right before Yom Kippur, from a beautiful rooftop in the old city, but I didn't get a chance to. So instead, you guys get to see my my pillow and my Jerusalem stone behind me. So, a couple days before Yom Kippur, a friend of mine messaged me and he said to me, sent me a link, and it was a link for an article that said, you know, that Iran is 1 month away from getting the nuclear weapon. And I said to him, you know, I saw this, I must have seen an article like this, a headline like this, every other year, at least once every other year for the past, I don't know how many years, 10 years, 15 years, something like that. And he told me, where it literally said 1 month away. And I showed him an article from 2013 where it said that. And then there was another article that was written, like an op-ed in the Atlantic, that said Iran has been on the verge 1 month away from getting a nuclear weapon for the past 30 years. With that said, I told him, you know, man, you should know that the story of Purim spanned 17 years. It wasn't like, you know, Haman threatened the Jews and the next day, whatever it is, you know. It culminated after a 17-year long game that was being played by all these different players, and that was being essentially, we now know, essentially Hashem using these people as pawns. Right? So I basically said, Ahmadinejad became president in 2005. And not to say that he's been the only president, you know, he's been the only Haman in Iran since 2005, but he was the first one to openly come out in the media and say, we have to wipe Israel off the map. And I joked with him and I said, you know, we're pretty much right on schedule. We're right on schedule, according to these calculations. If we're saying he started saying this in 2005, yeah, we're talking about 17 years, right on schedule. But then I said, you know, what you should remember is that the holiday coming up, I said this to him yesterday, the holiday coming up is called Yom Kippur. which literally means a day like Purim. It's one of the happiest days, according to the Gemara, according to the Talmud. It's Purim and Tu B'Av are two of the happiest days in the Jewish calendar, even happier than Purim itself. How could that be? But we're atoned, my friends. But not only are we atoned, all of the gzerot, all of the decrees, we asked Hashem to get rid of them, to turn the bitter decrees into sweet decrees, to positive. And so I've just been thinking about everything that's been going on. And actually on Yom Kippur, it's actually good that I didn't get to make this video before Yom Kippur, because I got a chance to think about it more on Yom Kippur itself. And I thought to myself, another friend of mine mentioned to me about 2 weeks ago or a month ago, he told me, Tzvi, a lot of stuff is going to be decided on Yom Kippur. And I'm like, I know. He's like, no, you don't understand. A lot of stuff is going to be decided on Yom Kippur. And I'll tell you guys, more and more and more, we're seeing, the truth come out about a lot of things. Truth bomb after truth bomb after truth bomb. Speaking of nuclear weapons, right? We're just seeing nuclear truth bombs going off left and right. All the stuff about General Milley, all the stuff about, now today I just saw something about how the FBI didn't listen to the gymnast girls about their coach. Now we're seeing a lot of data coming out about, what? That's and now, the CDC is saying, well, we don't recommend the third, what? Let's see if the leaders listen to them, supposed leaders. The people that in power, let's say, they're not leaders. I don't call them, they're not fit to lead anybody, including themselves. But we'll see. But the truth is coming out anyway. And it's funny because I was kind of anticipating this. A lot of people were anticipating this, especially in the Shemitah year. Again, this guy by the name of Dov Bar-Lev wrote an amazing blog post about how, we just experienced the last 7 years of nothing but sheker, nothing but lies. And now we're going to have just all the 7 years canceled out in this 1 year of just 7 times the amount of truth in the Shemitah year. We have to. It must be. And he brought down Kabbalistic sources, whatever it is. And he made a whole hashkafa, a whole philosophy out of it. Yeah, guys, we're seeing it. And so for me, this Yom Kippur is it's like a day like Purim, where we're going to see everything flipped on its head. Ben Achapechu, as Rebbe Kessin likes to say, everything's going to be flipped on its head. B'ezrat Hashem. All the things that we thought that were going to be, the screws are going to be tightened on us. And it doesn't even matter if you took this stuff or you didn't take it, or you for it or against it. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we can see, anybody with eyes can see that the people who are in power are doing something not in our best interest. They're not. And there's a few people who have a conscience. A few people who work for them have a conscience. Some of them walked off the job in the middle of the game. One of these executives in the FDA, people are walking off the job. They're just like, this is garbage. I can't take this. I have a neighbor who's trying to start his car at almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Welcome to Israel. It's amazing. I love it. It's kind of like New York. New York, they kind of do the same thing. Well, at least in Brooklyn. Manhattan maybe as well. There we go, he started it. This is the third time he started it and turned it off. It's cool. So yeah, guys, I mean, I have a weird feeling, sometimes like people ask me, Tzvi, like, can you show me evidence for this? Can you, where are you getting this from? Where are you? Sometimes you just get premonitions. Sometimes you get feelings. Sometimes, and many times I've had these, and I didn't listen to them. I've went against them, and it turns out I was right. My initial feeling was right. So many times. I'm sure other people have this. But I have this a lot regarding not just my own things in my own life, but just like regarding just stuff going on in the world, So people ask me, like, Tzvi, how'd you know? I'm like, well, first of all, besides getting premonitions, I kind of put two and two together. A lot of people just don't want to. Again, I always say a lot of people just don't want to go that extra mile and say, or they say it's conjecture, or they say it's like, don't you think you're looking a little too deep into this? No, I don't think so. Because, guys, again, we had a guy named Madoff, and there was a guy in his company. I don't know if he was in his company or the SEC. He came to the SEC and he said, this is what Madoff is doing. He said this like, when was it, 5 years before or 6 years before, and nobody listened to him. And then, turns out he was right. And it was like the biggest financial scam in history of the world. So, I have a thing about history. There's two things you have to look at. You have to ask yourself, when has there ever been a time in history where the people who were like taking everybody's rights away, censoring everybody, bullying everybody, when was there ever a time that those people were the good guys? And the second thing you have to look at in history is, when was there a time, has there ever been a time, or rather, how many times have there been a minority of people, here it's not even a minority, here it's like 50%, coming and warning, right? Or let's say a minority of experts warning everybody else that what they're engaging in is going to lead to calamity, or warning them that they should do something, otherwise it's going to lead to calamity, or that they should leave a certain place, or that they should, be alert to something, be awake to something. And how many times over history, over and over and over and over again, people didn't listen to them, my friends. I mean, history is replete with this stuff. And we're seeing it again. People are coming, scientists, doctors are warning, this is dangerous, don't do this the way you're doing it. We're telling you this is bad. And people are just convinced by propaganda or fear or whatever it is that they're just doing the right thing. And then some people know they made a mistake, and other people also know in the back of their head, don't want to admit it. And they can't admit that the people that are taking away their rights and the people that are, taking away their parnasa, their livelihood, their rights, and bullying them and censoring them and coercing them, they seem to think that those people are the good guys, my friends. How many times have those people been the good guys ever in history? About zero. Zero, like zero. Forgive me for making the sign, I don't want people get confused. Zero. A big zero like this. I'm drawing a zero here. Zero. 0 times in history. Exactly 0 times. It's astounding. It's It's astounding. But my friends, I'll tell you, this Yom Kippur, I davened, I prayed that it would be a day like Purim, Yom HaKippurim, that everything would flip on its head. All of the people that have wrong notions about things, that have been convinced by propaganda and fear. Really, it's Haman, it's Amalek, which is the gematria of Sofek, which is doubt. People have doubt, People are confused. People have been manipulated, confused. And I daven that everything flip on its head. I daven that Hashem lift the veil, and so that people can make the right choices. Free will, of course, not take away the free will. That's what I davened for. And I really hope that on Sukkot is the ultimate holiday which is coming up in a couple of days, where we see that everything is temporary. This life is temporary. This world is temporary. The bad is temporary. So is the good, but also so is the bad. What we think is bad, tough times, whatever. Eventually they pass through also, And this is also temporary, but it's temporary for a purpose. It's temporary so that it's supposed to change us, to elevate us. We're not supposed to get back, as I always say, we're not supposed to get back to normal. We're not supposed to get back to normal. This is supposed to be temporary, whether it was planned, whether it wasn't planned, whatever it is. Hashem allowed it to come into the world. He allowed it to happen for a purpose, to elevate us, to become Adam. The Adam that was before the Het. We just read from our Machzor, like, I don't know how many times we read it today, Al Het, it's translated as sin. It's not really sin. It's a bad translation, horrible translation. It really means missing the mark, or, missing the mark, missing the target. That's really what it is. Making a mistake, maybe, but not sin. Sin is like a very Catholic idea. Again, English, blah, translation, no good. But yeah, so we're trying to get back to Adam. And so people tell me, oh, Tzvi, you're excluded from life and you can't go to events, you can't go to, first of all, as if I went to these, well, I went to events, but as if I went to like restaurants before this. There are too many of them. That's not the point, guys. Even like for Orthodox Jews, people who are connected to Torah, you have these groups, great kosher restaurant foodies, or kosher this, or kosher that. My friends, I love the guy that runs that page, by the way, on Facebook. Fantastic, don't get me wrong, good guy. But is that the point of our lives? Is that the point? To be gluttons at kosher food festivals? Is that the point? Or like to call the Ben Sorero Murray festival, the wayward son who drinks wine and eats meat in the Talmud. Is that the point? That's not the point, my friends. That's not the point. The point is to elevate to the next level of existence. It's not the Super Bowl, and it's not, the shows and the Tonight shows and the comedy shows and as much as I quote comedians all the time. Don't get me wrong. In movies, but that's not the point. This is just the story of us, but it's not the point. Not the end goal. That's the end goal. That was the end goal for Rome and Greece and all these other places. Olympics, bread and circuses, whatever, stadiums. People are trying to get this stuff, take this stuff so they can go into a stadium. Las Vegas Raiders, they offer it outside the stadium in the parking lot. Take this stuff so you can go to a stadium. My friends, like that. I heard that. I'm like, my God, it's like ancient Greece all over again. Dear Lord. It's like screaming in your face. And look what happened to those civilizations. Guys, I was davening today, outside of in the old city, but we went outside for a second to do the whole Kiddush Levana, sanctification of the moon. And I'm looking down and I see what used to be the cardo, the market during the Roman times. And you have these pillars standing there, Roman columns. And I'm thinking to myself, these people are dead. They're gone. The civilization is gone. And here we are, the Jews, standing above it, outside our own home, with minyanim. If the Romans saw us now, they would arrest us. And we just read a whole part in Yom Kippur about the 10 martyrs who were arrested and killed, flayed alive, just for doing what we were doing today, which was reading prayers, learning the Torah. And I was looking at this and I'm like, my God, these guys are dead. And the sad part is that we're trying to emulate them now. We're trying to live the lives the same types of lives that they lived, with the bread and circuses and entertainment and this and that. Again, guys, I'm saying this as a sports fan, as a comedy fan, as a music fan. I attended all these live things in my life. But, I know enough to know, I've been into enough of these to know that's not the point. It's entertainment for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And you're done. Okay, very nice. It's not the point. And we're going to come out of this thing. We are going to come out of this thing very soon. And we're going to be a whole new civilization. With probably a new medical system. Probably a whole new education system. A whole new system for everything. A new financial system. Yes. We will have a new financial system. It's not what these powers that be think. It'll be something good for us, for the plebs. Speaking of Rome, right? It'll be good for us. It won't be good for them. Trust me on that. They think it's going to be good for them. They think they're just pawns, just like Haman was a pawn, my friends. Just like Ahasuerus was a pawn. They're all pawns in Hashem's Purim game. So anyway, guys, Yom Kippur, a day like Purim. Here's to everything flipping on its head. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Passing out. Laila Tov.